Alright, let's talk about something infuriatingly common. You're seeing a guy, and you can feel that there's something there. The way he looks at you, it's not casual. The way he remembers the little things you say, that's not just friendly conversation. The way he shows up for you, checks in on you, acts protective over you, it all screams that he cares, and yet he won't say it. He won't make a move. He won't call it love. Instead, he hovers in this weird, frustrating space where his actions and his words don't quite match up. One day, he's warm and attentive. The next, he's pulling away, like he's just remembered he left the oven on at home. He gives you just enough to keep you wondering, but not enough to give you clarity. It's like he's playing emotional peekaboo, showing his feelings one minute and hiding them the next. So what's the deal? Is he emotionally unavailable, playing games, or is he actually in love with you but too scared to admit it? Here's the thing, men don't always know what to do with their emotions, especially when it comes to love. Some guys are terrified of rejection, others have been hurt before and are afraid of getting too close, and some, they've never felt this way about anyone before, so they don't even trust what they're feeling. But here's the good news. Even if he won't say it, his behavior will always betray him. Love, no matter how much he tries to suppress it, leaks out in the way he treats you. So today, I'm going to break down the 6 biggest signs that a man is secretly in love. Maybe you catch him staring at you from across the room, and as soon as your eyes meet, he quickly looks away, hoping you didn't notice. He's trying to hide it, of course. Maybe he thinks if you see him staring, it will be too obvious. But the truth is, a man who is afraid to reveal his feelings will often revert to these small, instinctual gestures. When he watches you when you're not looking, he's absorbing everything about you. It's not just about your looks, although yes, he finds you incredibly attractive. It's about the way you carry yourself, the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love, the way you move, the way your voice softens when you're in a more vulnerable state. He's soaking in the small, nuanced things about you that make you who you are. It's because he's fascinated by you, not just your outer appearance, but who you are deep down. And here's the kicker, he's terrified to show it. The vulnerability that comes with staring at someone so intensely, with no barrier between you, feels overwhelming. The idea of you knowing just how captivated he is, it brings up feelings of uncertainty and fear that make him instinctively pull back. But that's not to say he won't get caught. Eventually you'll catch him in the act, and when you do, you might notice that his reaction is often to look away quickly, as though you've caught him doing something wrong. It's as if the guilt of being vulnerable is almost too much to handle. He might try to cover it up with a smile or a casual comment, but underneath, his mind is racing. He's trying to figure out whether you saw him, whether you'll notice how much he's looking at you. The fact that he's staring when you're not looking tells you that his feelings are deeper than he's letting on. A man who is just casually interested will notice you in passing, maybe glance at you now and then. But someone who is truly in love, someone who is already emotionally attached, will pay attention to even the smallest details. He doesn't just look at you for the sake of looking. He watches you because he's trying to understand you, to get closer to you, and to find the words or courage to tell you exactly how he feels. He might not be able to express it just yet, but his eyes are already telling you more than his lips can. And when you realize that he's watching you, it should be a moment of realization. He's not watching anyone else with the same intensity. His gaze, when directed at you, is almost like an unspoken declaration of affection. He's analyzing every little thing about you, but there's a hesitancy there. It's as though he's savoring the view of you, taking you in, but never quite sure if he should come closer or pull back. What does this mean for you? First, it's important to understand that it's a sign of intense attraction. When a man is consistently watching you when you're not looking, it means that his interest goes far beyond the superficial. He's drawn to you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and he can't help but be fixated on the way you express yourself. These small moments of silent observation are his way of trying to make sense of his emotions, trying to figure out how deeply he feels without being too forward about it. You may wonder why he doesn't just tell you directly. Why doesn't he just say how he feels? The answer lies in his fear. A man who's terrified of exposing his vulnerability will often keep his feelings locked inside, especially in the early stages of a relationship. He fears rejection, fears that he might say something and scare you off, or worse, that you might not feel the same way. The fear of opening up is a powerful force, and for some men, it's easier to retreat into these quiet moments of observation rather than risk verbalizing their emotions and facing the uncertainty of your response. There's also a certain degree of insecurity at play here. Sometimes a man might be unsure of himself and his ability to actually get you. He might think that his feelings are too big, too overwhelming, or that you might not be able to see him in the same way. So he watches from a distance, carefully studying you, trying to decode the signs of what you think of him. He's looking for the slightest indication that you feel the same, that you're as interested as he is, all while keeping his emotions at arm's length. But here's the thing. When a man is watching you when you're not looking, he's not just interested, he's invested. He's absorbing every little detail because he's trying to build a mental picture of who you are, trying to make sense of his feelings for you, and trying to figure out how to make himself a part of your life. He's fascinated, and whether he realizes it or not, his heart is already telling him that he doesn't want to lose you. The next time you catch him staring at you, don't immediately dismiss it as him just being distracted or disinterested. Instead, recognize it for what it is. A sign that his feelings run deeper than he's letting on. His gaze is the window to his heart, even if he's not ready to let those feelings fully show. And if you're paying attention, you might just notice that his gaze isn't fleeting. It lingers just long enough for you to catch him in the act. So when he's watching you from across the room, staring at you when he thinks you're not paying attention, it's his way of saying, I'm invested, I'm intrigued, I'm captivated by you. It's his way of trying to understand the depth of his feelings without yet finding the words to express them. It's a powerful signal that he's in love, even if he doesn't fully know it yet. And it's an invitation for you to move closer, to explore what's brewing beneath the surface, and to see if you can make him feel safe enough to finally open up. When a man is emotionally invested but scared to show it, his behavior can be confusing, especially if he's hot and cold. One day he's all over you, sending long texts, showing up to see you, and acting as if you're the most important person in his life. Then, the next day, he pulls back. He becomes distant, doesn't reply to your messages right away, and seems almost like a completely different person. This inconsistency leaves you feeling uncertain and anxious, wondering what happened. Why does he seem so engaged one day and so aloof the next? The hot and cold behavior stems from his internal conflict. A man who is in love with you but too scared to show it is often dealing with a swirl of emotions he doesn't quite know how to process. He wants to be close to you, to act on the connection he feels, but the vulnerability that comes with being in love scares him. On the days he pulls back, it's likely because his fear of opening up has taken over. He may feel overwhelmed by the intensity of his feelings and retreats to protect himself from potential heartbreak or rejection. This emotional withdrawal is his way of trying to regain control over his emotions. At the same time, the hot side of the behavior is equally telling. The days when he's affectionate and attentive are signs that his feelings for you are deepening, but he's trying to push those feelings forward while also keeping his guard up. When he's emotionally available, it's because he's feeling safe enough to connect, to be open, but it can only last for so long before the fear of getting hurt takes over and he retreats again. These moments of closeness and intimacy act like an emotional high for him, but the realization that he may have gotten too close triggers a defense mechanism, sending him back into his shell. It's important to recognize that when a man is emotionally hot and cold, it's a reflection of his own uncertainty and fear, not of his feelings for you. This kind of behavior is an attempt to balance the desire to be with you, to act on his love, with the fear that being too open might lead to disappointment or rejection. One moment, he might be thinking, I can't imagine my life without her, and the next, he's afraid of what that means for him emotionally, especially if he's been hurt in the past, or if he's not ready for the level of commitment that true love requires. This back-and-forth behavior is often a result of his internal dialogue. He's torn between wanting to pursue a deeper connection and needing to protect himself. The closer he gets to you, the more intense his feelings become, which makes him feel vulnerable and exposed. That's when the coldness comes in, the distance, the emotional pullback. It's his way of safeguarding his heart, even if it means confusing you in the process. The hot and cold dynamic might also be a result of his uncertainty about how you feel. If he's unsure of your feelings or doesn't feel like he has clear signals from you, he might oscillate between affection and distance. He might be testing the waters, seeing how you react to his attention one day and how you respond when he withdraws the next. He's subconsciously gauging whether or not you'll chase him, how much you're willing to invest emotionally, and whether you'll still be there when he pulls away. For you, this might feel like an emotional roller coaster. One day you're on a high, thinking everything is perfect, and the next, you're left wondering if you've done something wrong. You may start to second-guess yourself, thinking that maybe you're not being attentive enough, or perhaps you're being too forward. The uncertainty of his actions might make you feel insecure, but the key here is to understand that his hot and cold behavior is more about his fear of commitment and vulnerability than it is about you or anything you've done. What's important to remember is that this type of behavior is usually a sign that he's not yet comfortable enough with his emotions to fully open up. The heat, the closeness, the tenderness, the affection represents his desire to be with you, but the cold, The emotional withdrawal, the silence, the distance, comes from his need to protect himself from getting hurt. It's a natural reaction for someone who feels deeply but is scared of the consequences of letting those feelings surface. If you find yourself on the receiving end of this hot and cold behavior, the best thing you can do is try not to take it personally. Instead of constantly second-guessing your actions, understand that his push-pull dynamic is a reflection of his own fears. It might feel frustrating, confusing, or even hurtful, but remember that he's not pulling away because he doesn't care. He's pulling away because he's scared. He's not ready to admit how he feels, and the idea of being vulnerable terrifies him. You don't need to chase him during these periods of coldness that will only reinforce his fears of commitment. Instead, give him the space he needs. Let him process his feelings at his own pace. It might take some time for him to come to terms with his emotions, but the more you can be patient and understanding without becoming emotionally reactive, the more likely he will start to feel secure in your relationship. In the end, the hot and cold behavior can be a painful but telling sign of a man who is deeply in love with you but scared to show it. The intensity of his feelings is what causes him to pull back because he doesn't know how to deal with them yet. Your job is to remain steady and grounded, not to chase after him, but to allow him the time and space he needs to navigate his own emotional landscape. With patience and understanding, you can help him move past the fear and into the openness he's yearning for. When a man is deeply invested but afraid to show it, one of the most telling signs is jealousy, though he might never admit it. This can be tricky because on the surface he may appear calm and unaffected, even though his actions suggest otherwise. If he's watching closely when other men interact with you, or if he gets defensive when you mention someone else, it's a clear sign that he cares more than he's willing to show. Jealousy is an emotion tied to insecurity and fear of losing something valuable. Even if he doesn't want to acknowledge it, the simple truth is that when he's emotionally involved with you, any form of threat, whether real or perceived, can stir up a sense of possessiveness. But the key thing here is that he won't admit it. He's not going to openly express his feelings of jealousy, either because he's too proud or simply doesn't know how to confront the emotion without feeling vulnerable. Instead, his jealousy might manifest in more subtle ways. He might act aloof or indifferent, as if he couldn't care less about your interactions with other people. He may try to brush it off by making sarcastic comments or teasing you about your other admirers, but deep down, it's his way of masking a fear of losing you. He doesn't want to come across as clingy or possessive, so he hides it beneath a veneer of nonchalance, even though his behavior tells a different story. This kind of emotional inconsistency can be frustrating to navigate. One moment he's acting like everything is fine, and the next he's subtly expressing discomfort when other men are around. It's clear that he cares, but he's trying so hard to keep his guard up that it almost seems like he's not emotionally invested at all. The jealousy often comes from a place of vulnerability. He's afraid of opening up and being rejected, so he overcompensates by playing it cool, pretending he's unaffected. It's this paradox that makes it so confusing. His feelings are there, but he's too scared to express them openly. He's fighting with himself, wanting to feel safe enough to admit how he feels, but simultaneously keeping his emotions under control so he doesn't seem weak or needy. Understanding this dynamic is key. His jealousy isn't a sign that he's possessive or controlling. Rather, it's an indication that he values you deeply and doesn't want to lose the connection you share. The next time you notice these subtle signs of jealousy, try not to judge him too harshly. He's struggling with his own insecurities and fear of vulnerability, and his actions are simply a reflection of his inner conflict. His jealousy, though unspoken, reveals how much he cares. When a man begins to open up to you in a way he doesn't with others, it's one of the clearest signs that he's emotionally invested, even if he's hesitant to fully express his feelings. Men, by nature, tend to be less vocal about their emotions compared to women, but this doesn't mean they don't feel deeply or have a complex inner world. The difference is that they often guard their vulnerability carefully. Opening up to someone is not something men do lightly, and if he's doing it with you, it's because he trusts you. However, this doesn't mean he'll always do it in the way you might expect. Men who are scared to show their feelings might only let bits and pieces slip out, and these moments may come when he's least expecting it. Maybe it's after a long day when he's more worn down and feeling emotionally exposed. Or it could be during a quiet moment, when the distractions of the world fade away and he feels safe enough to share something personal. What makes these moments so significant is that men typically don't open up this way with just anyone. In fact, they tend to keep their emotions bottled up and share only the surface-level aspects of their lives with most people. So when he's telling you something vulnerable, whether it's about his past, his childhood, a difficult experience, or even his fears, It's a clear sign that he sees you as someone special. He's showing you his softer, more authentic side, which he doesn't feel comfortable doing with others. This kind of emotional intimacy is something that builds over time, and it often happens gradually. The first time he lets something significant slip out might be a small remark or a comment that catches you off guard. Perhaps it's about a past relationship that left him scarred, or an experience that shaped the way he views the world. At first, it might seem like just a passing comment, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice that he's testing the waters. He's testing how you respond to his vulnerability. He wants to see if you're someone he can rely on to handle his emotional complexity without judgment. The fact that he's choosing to be more transparent with you is huge. It means that he's letting you into his world, allowing you to see him for who he really is, not just the facade he shows to the rest of the world. Opening up in this way is a sign that he's starting to trust you on a deeper level. It's also an indication that he values your opinion and is looking for emotional validation from you. Whether or not he admits it, when a man opens up to you in a way he doesn't with others, it's a form of emotional investment. He's taking a risk by sharing his vulnerabilities, and this is not something he does lightly. What's important to understand here is that this doesn't always happen all at once. For a man who's in love but afraid to express it, these moments of emotional openness are incremental. They often build on each other over time. So if you notice that he's started to open up more, or that he's letting down his guard around you, don't dismiss these moments. They're incredibly significant because they show that he's letting you into his inner world, and that's a big step forward in any relationship. These moments of vulnerability are also often subtle and can be easy to miss. They may come out when you're having a casual conversation, or they may emerge in the form of small confessions. For example, he might share an offhand remark about a difficult time in his life, or he might admit a fear or insecurity that he's never shared before. These instances might seem minor in the grand scheme of things, but they are a reflection of his growing trust in you and his desire to be emotionally open. It's important to recognize that when a man opens up to you, he's not necessarily asking for a solution or advice. Often, he's simply looking for someone who will listen and accept him for who he is. Men are not always looking for validation in the form of fixing their problems. Rather, they're seeking someone who can understand them without judgment. If you respond with empathy, compassion, and understanding, it will deepen the emotional connection between you and further encourage him to open up. In these moments, it's crucial to provide emotional safety. When a man shares something personal, it's a vulnerable moment for him, and he needs reassurance that his feelings are safe with you. This doesn't mean you need to give a big speech or tell him everything will be okay. Sometimes, just offering a listening ear or saying something simple like, "I'm here for you," can be enough to show him that you're a safe person to be emotionally vulnerable with. It's also essential to recognize that this behavior isn't always going to be consistent. The man who opens up to you may sometimes retreat again, especially if he's struggling with fear or insecurity. The fact that he's opened up once doesn't necessarily mean he'll keep doing so right away. But the more you show him that his vulnerability is safe with you, the more likely he is to continue sharing his thoughts and feelings. His tendency to open up to you in a way he doesn't with others also speaks to the depth of his feelings. If a man is emotionally involved and scared to show it, the act of opening up is a huge indicator that he's breaking down his walls, albeit slowly and cautiously. It's a powerful signal that he's invested in the relationship and sees you as someone who could be a stable, safe, emotional partner. If he wasn't in love or at least emotionally attached, he wouldn't bother taking such a vulnerable risk. So, when this happens, know that it's a good sign of his growing affection for you, even if he's still unsure of how to express it fully. In conclusion, when a man opens up to you in a way he doesn't with others, it's a clear indicator that he's beginning to trust you and let his guard down. While he may still struggle with fully expressing his love or making himself emotionally vulnerable, these moments are significant. They reveal his emotional investment and desire for a deeper connection. So if you notice these moments happening, take them seriously. They're not just fleeting confessions. They're his way of slowly but surely opening his heart to you. He prioritizes you in small but meaningful ways. Love isn't always about big gestures. Sometimes it's about the small things. The way he makes sure you get home safe. The way he remembers your coffee order. The way he texts you after a long day just to check in, even when he's busy. When a man is secretly in love with you but scared to admit it, he won't always come out and say, "I love you," but his actions, they will say it for him. If he's going out of his way to do thoughtful things for you, to show up when you need him, to make sure you're okay, that's love. He just might not be ready to call it that yet. He's afraid of losing you, but he's also afraid of having you. This is the paradox of a man who's secretly in love, but scared to show it. He doesn't want to lose you, but he's also terrified of fully having you. Because having you means risk. It means vulnerability. It means stepping into unknown territory, and for a man who's been hurt before or is scared of love, that is terrifying. So he stays in limbo, hovering between keeping you close but not getting too close, loving you from a distance while trying to convince himself he's not really in love at all. But here's the truth. Love isn't about waiting for someone to get over their fears. It's about choosing someone who's willing to push past those fears for you. So if you see these signs, don't try to convince him to love you openly. Instead, let him decide if he's ready to step up, because real love isn't just about feeling something, it's about choosing to act on it.